It's like saying, actually, that money is not going to food in Sudan. Some of it's going to the people who work in the kitchens. No motherfucker, yeah. If you want to get aid from one country to another, you have to pay for transportation, for delivering the goods, get to contractors who can organize the shipments and find out how much you need and where, and to staff. What the do you think happens here? Oh my God. What do we think? Did ShoeOnHead check and just lie about it anyway? Or did he not check? ShoeOnHead is normally just kind of like foot and mouth for brains, but it's kind of in a silly way. That's actually quite cruel what you just did there. It's actually making me really annoyed.
So not only are we the world police, but we are now the world HR department. I don't care about teaching gender studies to Ugandans. The pothole in front of my house hasn't been—
Gender studies, she's so f***ed. Oh my God, her brain is just milk. How American, how much of a privileged American do you have to be? ShoeOnHead made a video about USAID and why it's bad. I wonder why. Is it going to be about all of the... I mean, I pre-watched like 5 minutes, but...
Donald Trump
is it going to be about trans comic books? It's weird because when people make fun of USAID, they attack a bunch of things that are actually... some of which are not even funded by USAID, like the trans comic books and shit like that, which are actually funded by different grants and very indirectly funded. And then the other things they attack are things that are actually good, like people making fun of condoms in Africa. And I'm like, no, that's actually good. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, STIs spreading, like AIDS and shit like that, is a problem. Yeah, it's good for a country's stability to not have a pandemic. Yeah. And then it'll probably also be about all in the past, because the USAID used to do really, like, I think it's the same group that used to do really bad in communist countries, but that's kind of Cold War out of date. But that's generally like the people who try to do like a left-wing opposition. But she was going to do both, right? She'll do a left-wing opposition to it by doing the CIA from the 60s, 70s, 80s, but she'll also try to do the anti-woke. So it's going to be the best of both worlds. We're going to get actually a holistic, that's what I'm predicting, a holistic criticism of USA. Let's go.
Along with Elon Musk, have created a new government agency called DOGE. And what I originally thought was just an older sibling giving a younger sibling an unplugged video game controller actually turned into a real thing. And their first order of business was dismantling USAID, an innocent government program that helped poor people all around the world. Or was it?
Wow.
Hello and welcome back to the ShoeOnHead channel. I am ShoeOnHead and I am not real. I am a figment of your imagination. You have been in a coma since 2012. Wake up. Wake up. Today we will be talking about the dark, seedy underbelly—
David, thank you for the $5. I'm not going to watch a video of Hassan looking at a sword and saying that that's like the swastika looking one. I don't care. You are mental. Have you? Do you think Hassan like is like a Nazi? Do you think he's like supports the Nazis? Do you think he likes Shut the fuck up. Jesus.
Of USAID. This is a topic I've been interested in for a very long time now. And now that recently USAID has been in the news, I figured it is a perfect time to finally talk about it. All the mainstream liberal coverage I've seen of this has basically been late night talk show hosts crying fake tears about it being dismantled, and all the mainstream Republican coverage has just been about all the USAID was apparently funding. But I promise you, it is more than that. A lot more. If you're not a very political person and you only come here to consume the Reddit gender war slop, you should still stick around for this because this gets juicy. And remember, even if you're not interested in politics, politics is interested in you.
Wow.
And trust me, I understand why some people aren't interested in politics. It's confusing, it's stressful, it's a lot to keep up with. I feel like 500 things happen every single day. But thankfully, I have a tool to help with that. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this video is—
Lonerbox engage with the argument. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's watch this video.
I want the normal, this one. The normal one without the... This one's sicker. Wait.
No way, dude.
No way, dude.
No way. He gestures down toward it.
Yes.
This one's sicker, dude. It's sus, bro. Why is it sus?
Yes.
Questionable. Bag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Immediately goes for the swastika one.
It was on purpose. They did it on purpose. I'm sorry. I think they did it on purpose. That's my personal opinion. They knew it looked like a swastika, and they posed with it. Dude, they did it on purpose. No, that's how I view it now. That's my personal opinion on this. It's a dog whistle. Dude, these guys... Dude, I'm sorry, bro. We've watched videos where people have called me dog whistler and shit like this for years by these exact types of people. They took a situation where they're being called anti-Semitic, and they posed with a sword that they view as the swastika sword. That was on purpose, 100%. Do not even argue with me about this. This is ridiculous.
Immediately goes for the swastika one. Got it.
I like this already much better.
Wow.
Engage with the argument. Okay, David. I'll engage with the argument. The point of dog whistling is that it's supposed to make you look like a... It's supposed to make you look crazy, okay? So let's say it was, which you cannot prove and will never prove for the rest of your life. Why go for it? Why? There are so many different avenues to attack someone on for anti-Semitism or for the way that they treat Jews. If you're out there being like, oh, well, you called that sword said it looks a bit like a swastika, the swastika one for some reason. Wow. And it's not even a swastika. It just looks like one. Well, that must mean that they're trying to troll Ethan by saying that this is the third, that what, like Hassan actually supports neo-Nazism or whatever. Like, shut the it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Don't care. Weakest critique on earth. Well done.
Sponsored by USAID. Just kidding. This video is sponsored by Ground News. Let's quickly give them a shout out and then we will jump back into this.
The next time Hassan drinks milk on stream, you should have a go at him. Oh, isn't it interesting that Hassan is drinking milk 1 week after? 1 week after doing the swastika sword? And wasn't milk an alt-right dog whistle back in 2017? Okay, let's say he is doing that to gaslight you and to make you look crazy. If you start rambling about it and pay me $5 to watch the video where they explain how sussy it is, they've done a good job. Or they haven't done anything and you've just made yourself look crazy for free.
Dive, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun and transparent way to read the news all across the political spectrum. From left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of political bias that helps you understand the full story and makes sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features of Ground News has to be the blind spot feature. It shows you news stories that have been covered by only one side of the political spectrum and ignored.
I don't skip ads for free. Sorry. I'm 4 stars short of my general. 4 super short of the goal. I'm not skipping this ad for nothing. What are you talking about? You would leave me high and dry? 4 supers short of the goal? David's molding now. Look at him. He hasn't said anything for a while. He's so upset. Chat, pay up, I'm broke. Exactly. Yeah. Skip it out of principle. Do you know the Saluki? Yes, I know the Saluki. He's a crazy person who goes into the West Bank and pretends to be not Jewish, right? Am I wrong? Where does Ground News get all the money from? I mean, it could be that they're investing, or it could just be that they actually have a lot of users. 0.5 speed, please. That is a very interesting request, friend. 0.5 speed? Really? Do I want to make Shoe sound like a drunk person at the bar explaining to us why USAID is actually CIA propaganda machine and all the aid that they actually give to people who desperately need it is a total coincidence? You know what? I like this Ground News ad so much. I'm going to play it again. I think it's just really good to be reminded of the importance of getting both sides of the story. News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun and transparent way to read the news all across the political spectrum. From left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of political bias that helps you understand the full story and makes sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features of Ground News has to be the blind spot feature. It shows you news stories that have been covered by only one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other side. For example, here is a story about how Elon Musk apparently pressured the Reddit CEO to moderate content on the site. Right away, we can see that the story has been covered by 12 sources. And out of these 12 sources, 75% lean left. And no right-wing sources have covered it. Ground News also makes it really easy to compare headlines to see how political bias or ownership can affect the framing of a story. For example, this right-wing headline about how Trump is taking executive action to make DC safe and beautiful, while this left-leaning headline frames the same story as Trump wants Washington, DC to be Berlin 1939. What?
I've been using Ground News for 4 years now because it's great. I love it, and it really helps me see how both sides frame things so differently. Best of all, I'm currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is what I use to access all of their amazing features. This comes out to only $5 a month. That's like the price of a coffee, and it is so worth it. It is one of the first apps I check in the morning. It's great. So go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code on screen right here, or use the link in the video description down below. Again, that is ground.news/shoe, or click the link down below. I think what they're doing is super important.
I love how long this ad is.
Because
so much Ground News getting absorbed into my brain. Oh, yes. It's good. It's like they're drilling in the responsible news reading, news digestion. Let's go.
It helps people approach the news in a more fair and balanced way, and I feel like we need that now more than ever. So thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right? Now let's get back to this USAID.
Hey, anytime, Shoe. Anytime. I watched the ad 1.5 times, actually. How much I care.
Deep dive, shall we? So Donald Trump and Elon Musk created the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE. Get it? Like the Reddit meme from 2012? Epic bacon, my fellow memers. Honestly, who am I to talk about dead memes? My username is ShoeOnHead. So DOGE's supposed goal seems to be cutting useless spending the government is making us pay taxes on. Now, I have very mixed feelings about taxes. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Taxation is theft! The tree of liberty will be refreshed with the blood of tyrants! My opinion has always been, if we are going to pay taxes in this country, could they at least go to things that actually help people, like Medicare?
Oh, just so you know, DOGE, what did they say? They kept on saying, oh, we're going to cut $2 trillion of waste. And I'm privy to this because UKIP and Nigel Farage and those faces used to do the same thing. They say we're going to cut 50 billion in waste. It's like, why is every party only able to find 1 billion in waste? It's like, oh, it's because waste is actually just a euphemism for all of the social spending programs we don't like. It's for cuts. It's austerity. That's what it is. DOGE says, Elon Musk is like, we're going to cut 2 trillion of waste. And then however much time passes, it's down to 150 billion. That's like, wait, wasn't it 3 billion he said? 3 trillion? 3 trillion in waste. Or 2 billion. In any case, that's like a 15th of what you said you were going to cut. How? How'd you get away with that? 15% of its original 1 trillion. 1 trillion! First, I thought it was 3 trillion. Then it was 2. Now it's 1? Elon!
Billionaire Elon Musk's controversial DOGE is being audited by the Government Accountability Office, according to a new report. The GAO, a nonpartisan independent agency that works for Congress, has been investigating Musk's Department of Government Efficiency since last month, according to sources and records reviewed by Wired. The audit is specifically targeting DOGE's access to and use of sensitive government data. Congressional leaders requested the GAO audit to investigate DOGE after alarming media reports of DOGE infiltrating federal systems.
It's actually a lot more sinister than I used to make out. It's like World War II would have been significantly more horrible had Hitler been doing like this, right? If Hitler was this, wouldn't World War II just be so much more ugly and horrific? Because not only are you getting murdered en masse for someone else's territorial greed or because of just sheer bigotry and hatred. Like, imagine if you're Jewish, right? Not only are you getting murdered, right? It's also just
Department of Government.
Yeah, he would be doing camp memes. He would be doing camp memes. For fuck's sake.
GAO audit to investigate DOGE after alarming media reports of DOGE infiltrating federal systems, a congressional aide told Wired. Musk and his young DOGE crew have repeatedly been accused of accessing a range of personal information that's supposed to be protected, including information on workers, social security numbers, and even bank account information. Mary Ellen Callahan, former chief privacy officer at the Department of Homeland Security, emphasized the severity, stating, "Social Security is literally the keys to the kingdom to everybody." A U.S. district judge issued an order preventing the world's wealthiest man and his team from having unfettered access to data from the Social Security program, which Musk has baselessly slammed as a Ponzi scheme.
Well, that is absolutely not what I was expecting from the headline, but okay, give me... This is about plans for Musk to leave his role. Where's Musk when he's saying, yeah, 150 billion, we're really proud to announce? Where is that? Can you imagine if the fucking Lebensraum was accompanied with AI videos? With AI videos of Elon Musk in fucking Slavic garb, squatting in his little farm. Fuck me. With the high speed, the 200-kilometer-an-hour double-decker trains that Hitler wanted. Fuck me, that would be so embarrassing. Someone's going to do it, though, aren't they? It was during cabinet. Is it here? Crux? Oh, here we go. A nice short one.
I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
Wow.
And I mean, and some of it is just absurd. Like people getting unemployment insurance who haven't been born yet. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate whether. I mean, come on.
Come on. Please let me distract you from the fact that I said I was going to save $2 trillion. How could you do this? I'm trying to put it into numbers that people might that are more easy to understand. It's like you got a little business and some kind of like fucking advisor comes in and is like, listen, okay, I'm a guy who knows how to streamline the process, okay? I'm a guy who knows things. Here's how we're going to cut your expenses, okay? We're going to cut your expenses by $40,000, okay? We're going to cut your expenses by $40,000. Actually, I need a... And then they come back and they've like... Wait. Fuck me. They come back and they've cut like 400. Like what? How? Or 4,000? Like how do you get away with that? It's just, And that's on top of them saying that they're going to spend extra on the fucking Pentagon as well. Like, was it Elon Musk or was it just the government? Can Elon Musk cut $2 trillion from the U.S. government? Good question. That's old news now. Old news. Is it 200 billion? 200 billion more for the Pentagon. It's unbelievable. How do you get away with that? It's so surprising, isn't it? Wow, really, this hyper inefficient government and these fucking boring bureaucrats that you've just been bitching about for fucking years are actually pretty fucking good at what they do. If all the waste that you've managed to find is shit you don't like, and you've actually also already made extra expenses in other places that exceed the amounts you've cut. So you haven't saved shit. Why? Turns out the US government, like most governments in the liberal democratic world, are actually just fucking well-oiled machines that don't need fucking unqualified, inexperienced retards to come in and hire a bunch of people because they think they're quirky, like these quaint fucking 19-year-old Redditors who go in to social security fucking databases and they say, oh my God, Elon, I found someone who was born in 1897 and they're still in the blah, 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 and then they put it in the fucking news and on Twitter and shit. It's almost as if governments are more competent than people like this.
So, some of these things, if people ask me like, well, how are you going to find waste and fraud in the government? I'm like, well, actually just go in any direction. That's how you find it. It's very common.
Yeah, just screenshot random fucking receipts and tweet them out and pretend they mean something else. Yeah.
it's as the military would say, target-rich environment.
Wow. That's why your target of 1 trillion, it got watered down from 2 or 3 trillion, now is 150 billion. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Fuck me. He just is so disgusting. Why I fucking despise him. Just one more for the boys, okay? We need one for the... To remember what we're dealing with, okay? When I'm telling you that Elon is like the cringe is part of the evil, okay? The cringe is part of the cruelty. This is the guy who's doing it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. Yeah. USA, 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 USA. Yes.
Yes. It's like this. This is a war crime. It's like someone comes up to you, some self-employed dipshit, some entrepreneur in bio comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, stick with me, kid. Work with me for 6 months, okay? Work with me for 6 months. I'll make you $100,000. You're like, okay, that's a good idea. Nice. No, wait. Fuck it. I'm being too generous to him. I'm being too generous. Someone comes up to you and they say, yeah, come on, work with me, son. I'm going to make you $300,000, okay? 300,000. Whoa, in 6 months. Huge. And then it becomes 200,000. Then a month later, it becomes 100,000. Then at the end, they brag about how you've made 10,000. And they sit there and they're like, well, you know, I'm proud to announce that we found all this, we've made all this profit here. You know, people ask me, how do you make so much money? And I say, well, just look in any direction. It's everywhere. It's there for the taking. Like, fuck off. Fuck me. Okay. Actual pyramid seller.
Medicaid, Social Security, child tax credits, firefighters fixing our bridges and roads, castrating pedophiles, government-funded girlfriends, things like that. And yes, we should be auditing the government. I think that's a good thing. Frankly, I don't care who does it as long as they do it well. Good things are good.
And we should also audit the auditors, apparently, because they're stealing data that they should. Yes. Can we audit the auditors for promising that they would save $3 trillion and now leaving us with a saving of $150 billion?
Bad things are bad. I'm anti-bad things, pro-good things. Those are my politics. And hating libertarians. Just kidding, I love libertarians. I get along great with them. As long as we don't talk about child labor. Anyway, Doge got straight to work, firing government workers and basically hiring my Twitter mutuals. What was once a theater kid-occupied government is now a right-wing schizo poster-occupied government. No, I am not joking.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside DOGE.
If you had told me 10 years ago that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would hire some Zoomer named Big Balls to help audit the government, I'd believe it. Like, yeah, that checks out. They have no relevant experience.
Yeah, that does actually. Yeah, wow. Hillary's actually completely fucking correct here. Yes, that does make sense. And it also makes sense that they would promise $3 billion in savings, $3 trillion in savings. They're going to say $3 billion in savings. It becomes 150. $3 trillion savings becomes 150 billion. The fuck?
Most of them aren't old enough to rent a car. They're not even old enough to rent a car. They're in their 20s. We sent 18-year-olds to go die in the wars you cheerlead on, you evil hag.
Wow.
Why are they so focused on the ages of these people when our government is basically a retirement home? But honestly, I don't blame Hillary Clinton. If I were her, I also wouldn't want 22-year-olds in the government.
Hey, wow, Hillary bad. Whoa.
Months before dismantling...
I'm sorry, Shu, but like Hillary is literally fucking mogging all of you right now because... It's just so amazing that after all the fucking reeing about fucking Hillary's emails and then Pete Hegseth, who we'll talk about later, has once again fucked up with a signal leak. And Trump's defending it. Fuck me.
The Department of Education, or apparently Sesame Street. Doge's first order of business was dismantling USAID.
Without providing any proof, Elon said USAID is a criminal organization. Oh, yeah. They're an international crime syndicate hell-bent on helping people.
Pretty f***ed up, huh? Taking money away from an aid program that helps poor people all around the world. Except USAID was not exactly that. In fact, it doesn't even f***ing stand for aid. It stands for United States Agency for International Development. It has f*** all to do with aid. But honestly...
Oh, okay. So the fact that over 70 or 80% of the emergency kitchens in Sudan are funded by USAID... that's not actually aid because USAID means United States Agency for International Development. Now, I thought before, at the beginning of this video, it sounded like she had gone in to look at what USAID money actually went to and found that most of it, almost all of it, is to aid. Or did she not do that? Or did she actually just look up the list of retarded things in USAID list? Oh, wow. Elon Musk, and then just gone and found like all the things that Trump claims to have found in USAID. Is that what she did? There's no way you think it has nothing to do with aid if you looked at where the money goes. The money goes to aid, dipshit. Fuck.
I don't blame you for thinking it does. After all, they do make the word aid a different color in the logo. Those sneaky bastards. Although it said USAID...
It's so sneaky, yeah. It's so sneaky. Say Africa. What does USAID spend money on Africa? The total of USAID cuts on Africa. Okay. Oh, what? Aid? I mean, they get aid. What kind of aid, though? You know? 'Cause it might just be AIDS. That's why Hillary Clinton likes it. AIDS injections with aid written on it, so deceptively. Is aid woke? Aid is very woke. Yeah. Humanitarian assistance. I want more of a breakdown of like exactly, because a lot of it was like medical for some countries, food for other countries, like employment for places, especially where there's like really bad unemployment. Global health data, where are we? Humanitarian relief. Yep. Okay, so we've got food aid that was going to Sudan, Congo. Yeah, 910 million worth of food to DCR. Okay. Seems very 80 to me. 70% of humanitarian costs in Congo. Okay, we done Congo. Okay. Fighting HIV. Oh, okay. How? With what? Drugs. Malaria injections would have also been, that's what the condoms were for as well. And I think in some cases the circumcision was to do with health as well for men. Yeah, I don't know. All these things, and plus the logo. Plus the logo that puts the aid in a different color. Very deceptive of them. And all that stuff they're sending to Africa, it's deceptively aid-like, isn't it? They very sneakily made a lot of the aid that they send to the third world look like aid.
Different color in the logo. Those sneaky bastards. Although it said USAID provides 42% of global aid, the truth is most of those funds are just spent paying US contractors and secretly conducting.
No, fuck me. What do the contractors do, ShoeOnHead? What do the contractors do?
The truth is,
at least even the paragraph she's using. Foreigners don't receive much of America's $35 billion annual foreign aid budget, at least not directly. Less than 10% goes to local charities, companies, or governments in developing countries. Instead, big American aid contacts tend to go to big American companies and non-governmental organizations. Yeah, really. It's like saying, actually, that money is not going to food in Sudan. Some of it's going to the people who work in the kitchens. No shit, motherfucker. Yeah, aid. If you want to get aid from one country to another, you have to pay for transportation, for delivering the goods. You have to contractors who can organize the shipments and find out how much you need and where, and to staff. Does she think you can just like bank transfer Sudanese people some fucking money and they just go out and buy food? What the fuck do you think happens here? Oh my God.
Most of those funds are just spent paying US contractors and secretly conducting regime change all around the world. In fact, 80% of all USAID funding goes to just 75 organizations, while only 6% of that goes to aid. And by auditing USAID, DOGE exposed the...
Yeah, because let's say you want to fund for food aid in Sudan. Let's say you want to do that. Well, the food itself is not that expensive at all. You have to transport the food from somewhere where there is food, because at the whole point, there's a fucking famine, right? You have to transport the food. You have to have people there who are actually distributing the food. You have to have probably security, because especially if you're talking about war zones, you have to have administration, so you can hire the people to do all these jobs. You also need to have a level of administration to organize the funding of the transportation or the deliveries, or like the streamlining the network to get the food from one place to another. You need people who can analyze the situation on the ground to find out how much food is needed where. Yeah, the food itself is not actually going to be that much of the cost, but to get the food from the place it is to the place it needs to be, how fucking stupid you have to be. Yeah, sorry. Apparently, if I want to get a loaf of bread over to fucking Sudan, I just have to Google the cost of a loaf of bread in Sudan. And by God, if my budget to get that bread over to the people who need it is more than 10p, we're going to have problems, ShoeOnHead.
The true, real puppet masters behind the secret cabal of evil masterminds funding the woke ideology spreading all around the globe. You. Yes, it was you, American taxpayer. Turns out the deep state was the friends we made along the way. And yes, it's true, we are spending billions of dollars in our tax money to fund things like teaching Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language, combating disinformation in Kazakhstan, promoting inclusion in Vietnam, millions to an Armenian LGBT group, millions to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem, millions for LGBT causes in the Western Balkans, millions for LGBT activism in Uganda, millions for—
Why is male circumcision woke? Why is male circumcision woke? The point in circumcision is because in hot countries where there's a poor healthcare system, circumcision helps with preventing or reducing chances of disease. That's the point in circumcision. What? I'm just so curious, again, because every time I look at these, I know the trans comic books in Peru, that was one that I actually looked into detail to, and it turned out the funding didn't even come from USAID. It had nothing to do with them. It's like, it was like part of a cultural exchange. So it would be like saying that, say, for example, if I want to, say there's like a fledgling state that's just come out of like an authoritarian system, and they want to do like a sort of like a creative government budget, like a budget to promote creative. So like in Scotland, we have Creative Scotland, where artists can apply for funding for projects that they can't fund themselves. And then people review the projects and they're like, okay, this one looks good. And then they explain why it might be good for the community and everything else. So someone in Peru, let's say someone did that. So like as part of like helping a government in Peru, they fund their arts sphere, right? Because it's a part of the social fabric. And someone applies for a grant for $10,000 for some fucking LGBT thing, and it gets funded. It's like, really? Are we exporting fucking wokeness because that's how that funding was allocated? No. Like, the recipients countries of this aid get to have a level of discretion as well. I'm just curious about some of these ones, like LGBT activism in Uganda, where people who are gay in Uganda are currently going through like basically a genocide. Like it's state policy to fucking kill you if you're being gay in Uganda. But let's see, Uganda, USAID, LGBT funding. What's the funding actually do? For years, the United States has supported LGBT groups in Uganda through USAID funded initiatives. Oh, HIV treatment. It's exporting wokeism to legal training. Oh, resources for really? So because being gay is illegal and potentially punishable by death in Uganda, I think it's Uganda, right? Yeah, human rights violations, trade and travel restrictions. So if USAID helps you out with your human rights issues, like with, say, for example, legal assistance and fighting for your rights as a human being against the Ugandan government, or for HIV treatment because you can't get it through the state healthcare system, that's exporting wokeism, ShoeOnHead. You fucking moron. Oh my God. Like you just pick one at random. Pick one at random. Even if you just use your fucking brain. Millions for LGBT activism, and you got— why did she say activism? Because that's the one we don't like, right? We don't like the trans activists. Why did she go for that one though? Why didn't she look at like just in general for LGBT causes?
In the Western Balkans, millions for LGBT activism in Uganda, millions for atheism in Nepal, millions for male circumcision around the world, and $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala.
Again, let's say this was all true, even as she's characterizing it. Like it's just, there are some, let's say that, because what she's trying to say is that there's some USAID funding that is frivolous. Okay, let's say some of it is. What is 90+% of the USAID funding going to, and why are you not talking about it? Why did you say it doesn't mostly go to aid? Because it goes to the costs of logistics of delivering the aid. Why did you do that? Like, it's like Elon Musk as well, when he's trying to say, oh, the government's full of waste. What? Because you found 150 billion in a federal budget of like trillions. It's almost as if the government in general isn't wasteful then, because it seems like you found fuck all waste.
And many other things that were so ridiculous I had to double check to make sure I wasn't being trolled.
Well, you didn't double check though, did you? Because you didn't even how long did it take to find out what the LGBT USAID funding was in Uganda? You didn't take time to check to make sure you weren't being trolled. Or did you? Are you doing it on purpose? Are you pretending that LGBT causes in fucking Uganda was a frivolous spending adventure in USAID when they were helping people who were suffering state persecution, or helping people with healthcare, or helping people being able to like actually just advocate for their fucking rights? What? What do we think? Did ShoeOnHead check and just lie about it anyway? Or did she actually, or did she not check? I didn't think ShoeOnHead had an issue with like spending a drop in the ocean of the federal budget to help gays who are in the most fucking one of the most horrible situations on earth. Uganda is one of the worst countries in the world for being gay. And it seems like the USAID funding was going to things that actually would have helped them. Was helping them. Legal assistance? Well, that obviously helps. HIV treatment? Yeah. Does she think the activism is the same as what she's used to online? It's left many gay Ugandans terrified. It's like running from one fire to another fire, said Aggie Hurd, the executive director of Africa Queer Network, which works on LGBTQ rights in over a dozen African countries. Campaigning against anti-homosexuality laws. We haven't slept well in weeks. We have a big battle ahead of us. Distributing what few resources they have left. Helping people with shelters, delivering testing kits. I wonder why they need shelters. I wonder why a gay person might need shelter. Oh yeah, it's because their families kick them out. Okay, wow. I'm actually... ShoeOnHead is normally just kind of retarded, like foot in mouth. Shit for brains. But it's kind of in a silly way. That's actually quite cruel what you just did there. It's actually making me really annoyed. Okay.
Taxpayer-funded sex changes in Guatemala? We don't even do that here. Now, you might be saying, Shoo, this seems like some stupid anti-woke shit. And yeah, kind of. You got me. But I ask you, young naive liberal, why the fuck was John Bolton once the head of USAID? John Bolton, for those of you who are unaware, is an infamous
neocon in 1982. Okay.
This neocon hack. He's literally criticized Trump for not being enough of a warmonger. Neocon hacks, for those same few of you who are unaware, are the people in our government responsible for meddling with other countries all around the world and getting us into wars for basically funsies. The people who suck the teat of Raytheon, Boeing, etc. The military-industrial complex's favorite discourse. Again,
this is all Cold War. You would have to show, if we're not cutting USAID from the 1980s. Worm brain. We're not doing that. We're cutting USAID now, today. You have to talk about what they're doing today. Cold War's over, buddy. Like, communism lost. Sorry. RIP.
Kittens. These guys come in shades of red and blue. So why was John Bolton, a red guy, in charge of the same program, USAID, that is sending American taxpayer money to foreign countries to have things like trans pride parades? The truth is, the USAID thing goes a lot deeper than what a lot of Republican commentators are saying. It wasn't just a bunch of libtards in government wasting our money on stupid woke things. No. There's way more than that.
Oh, is this maybe where she got her fucking list from?
Wasting our money on stupid woke things. No, there's way more than that. You see, it's current year and we can't just do old-fashioned imperialism anymore. The people don't like that. It's a new era, so we have to dress it up in glitter and rainbows. To put it bluntly, USAID is nothing but another form of taxpayer-funded regime change, wearing an innocent mask of aid. Shut up, Shoo! You dumb bimbo populist! You reactionary shitlord! You cry, tears running down your fat, retarded face.
If this is about Ukraine, I'm gonna actually, like, throw my head into the oven. There's no way she's gonna suggest that. No. Come on.
The United States is just giving foreign countries billions of dollars out of the kindness of their hearts. Oh yeah? I have a lovely bridge on sale down the road.
It doesn't have to be out of the kindness of their hearts. It can be for soft power. And it can be for international relations. But it doesn't change the fact that quite a lot of USAID projects, most of them, were actually doing really, really important things. And why are you not talking about 80% of the emergency food kitchens in Sudan, where there's a famine happening? Fuck me.
Like to buy it? Listen, despite all its faults, I love America, and I love the American people. But if you believe the corrupt, greedy bureaucrats running the deep state of this country do anything out of the kindness of their hearts, you are a sweet, innocent angel, and you need to be protected at all costs. I especially side-eye any leftist who has the nerve to run defense for USAID, especially those who call themselves socialists or commies, considering the fact that USAID was basically originally created to destroy communist countries all around the world. Established in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy under the noble guise of aiding developing nations, USAID was, in many respects, an instrument during the Cold War to counter Soviet influence and keep the Third World from crafting its own socioeconomic model. A year after President John...
Generally speaking, it wouldn't have been crafting their own socioeconomic model. It would have been from going towards the Soviet Union. But okay.
the
where
third
they would
world
have taken on the Soviet Union's economic model.
from crafting its own socioeconomic model. A year after President John Kennedy created USAID in 1961, he told its directors that, as we do not want to send American troops to a great many areas where freedom may be under attack, we send you. It wasn't long before the CIA spotted an opportunity to extend its reach. In 1962, USAID launched its Office of Public Safety to send agents around the world under the guise of training police officers. But as it turned out, the trainers were busy teaching enhanced interrogation techniques, a euphemism for torture. The scandal broke out in 1966, and although the office was finally shut down in 1974, the dark practices persisted within military and intelligence circles. By 1980, USAID Administrator John Gilligan was candid enough to describe the agency as nothing more than a graduate school for the CIA. At one time, many aid field offices were infiltrated from top to bottom with CIA people, he said. It was pretty well known in the agency who they were and what they were up to. The idea was to plant operatives in every kind of activity we had overseas, government, volunteer, religious, every kind. USAID was quickly nicknamed the CIA's little sister. Oh, and here is John Bolton holding a trophy given to him by USAID in the shape of a hand grenade. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. So let's talk about Zunzuneo, shall we?
God, it's a really good thing that the USAID doesn't really do that stuff anymore. It's a good thing that the Cold War ended and USAID actually does a lot of different stuff right now that ShoeOnHead's not talking about. Like, so maybe they're expecting those food kitchens in Sudan to contribute to some kind of like American fucking backed color revolution, but okay.
Sit down. I love this story. Taken directly from Wikipedia, Zunzuneo was an online social networking and microblogging service created by the United States Agency for International Development, aka USAID, and marketed to Cuban users. It was covertly developed as a long-term strategy to encourage Cuban youths to revolt against the nation's government. The developers aimed to use non-controversial content, such as sports and music, to build up subscribers and then to slowly introduce political messages through social bots to encourage dissent in an astroturfing initiative. So basically, USAID created a fake-ass social media platform in Cuba with our tax dollars, flooded it with bot content about like sports and music and whatever, just to make it seem normal, then slowly started to...
Guys, I'm sure the Cubans right now are feeling the full mea culpa that we take away fucking aid from starving people in Sudan. I'm sure they're really feeling the retribution now for CIA malpractice in the 1980s. Oh, God.
Manipulate the users and create political division on the app between Cuban citizens in order to create political chaos in this country and a potential uprising. So yeah, how dare we take money away from those starving undercover agents? To make things even more sus, the money we spent on Zunzuneo was
I'm gonna kill myself.
Publicly documented as an unnamed project in Pakistan. Yes, this fake-ass social media psyop they created in Cuba was documented by our government as being a project in Pakistan. Now, think of all the other weird shit USAID was supposedly funding. Those sex changes in Guatemala. Were they really sex changes in Guatemala? Or were they some covert psyop being done somewhere else in the world? I guess we'll never know now. Using social media to somewhere else in the world. I guess we'll never know now. Using social media to divide the masses and create political division. You don't think... No. They wouldn't do that. I mean, it's kind of weird they asked the former founder of Twitter to help with this project, but no. They would only do social media psyops in other countries, right? Right? In March 2024, a document was exposed that revealed USAID was running covert psyops all around the internet in order to combat populist misinformation about the government on
Oh, she's talking about like recent things in Cuba. Yeah, I got you. My bad. Why not just cut those parts then? If you don't like those projects, yeah, you probably shouldn't. Why not just cut them? Not cut the entire fucking USAID budget. It wasn't because, again, no, my point still stands. Why does it help? Why does it help the Cuban fucking political discourse that you're also taking aid away from fucking Gaza or Sudan or fucking Somalia or like Mozambique? Like, why?
Twitch, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and 4chan. Although its internal justification was halting the flow of mis- and disinformation, it seemed particularly concerned with malinformation, a concept it defines as speech that is factually correct but misleading, i.e., bothersome truths the US government would prefer the public does not know. USAID suggests directing the public toward mainstream corporate sources of information and psychologically inoculating them against inconvenient facts that challenge US power by pre-bunking information before people see it. Pre-bunking includes discrediting the brand, the credibility, and reputation of those making false allegations. In other words, a state-directed attack against alternative media and critics of the US government. So basically, USAID was funding a bunch of dorks to go all around social media and be like, source? Every time someone criticizes the government. This is somehow more pathetic than when I used to use an alt account to defend myself on BreadTube subreddits. That is basically what our government was doing. Also, I like how this implies the people you called a Fed online might have actually been a Fed. There is a chance that you may have fought with a federal agent, a USAID federal agent on Twitter or 4chan. This also implies that like streamers and social media influencers may have been funded by USAID.
Fucking brilliant. Let's go.
But who? Who among us? Who would be willing to unquestionably, enthusiastically suck establishment cock that hard?
For all the bad stuff America does around the world, USAID was just an organization that did a lot of nice things. Like it put a lot of money into efforts to help people in a variety of ways, like both materially and culturally. It's just like a nice way for the United States to have a positive presence around the world.
For the record, I do not actually believe Destiny is being funded by USAID. I just thought that transition was funny. I fucking love that quote, though. USAID was just a nice organization that did a lot of nice things, like...
Yeah, but most of its spending was things that you can't disagree with because you haven't brought them up. It's literally like you found between sort of like 5 and 10% of an organization that you don't like, and then just, that's all you're talking about, and then just pretending the rest of it doesn't exist to make a point. Because God forbid if you say something about like a US established fucking organization that has links to the Cold War, is God forbid that someone like ShoeOnHead says that's a good thing. And then all the fucking dribbling, fucking gooning 14-year-old dipshits in her audience would just turn on her from the left and the right both. God forbid you remind people that sending food aid to starving people is good, actually. Fuck.
Culturally help people around the world. Culturally help people? Why are we in the business of cultural imperialism? Why do we have to...
Yes, cultural imperialism is when you support, when you give legal and medical and activist support to gay people in Uganda. Because god damn it, do those people not have a right to, yes, to the noble indigenous population and government that wants to execute that. What the fuck are you talking about? Is that imperialism? Is that... Really?
Culturally enrich Latin America or the fucking Balkans. So not only are we the world police, but we are now the world HR department? No thank you. Why are we spending billions of dollars doing fuck-ass shit in other countries while ours crumbles? I don't care about teaching gender studies to Ugandans. The pothole in front of my house hasn't been...
Gender studies? She's so fucking retarded. Oh my god, her brain is just milk. How American, how much of a privileged American cunt do you have to be to think that LGBT support in Uganda is them doing the same shit that you compare? Do you really think that's what they're doing in Uganda? Do you think there's a blue-haired fucking Ugandan teacher running around giving little pronoun badges to their kids from the pronoun box and they can switch their pronouns around whenever they want? Do you think that's what LGBT activism in Uganda looks like? No, it's not, you fucking moron. LGBT activism in Uganda looks like, I'm gay. Please don't kill me. That's what fucking LGBT propaganda looks like in Uganda. That's what LGBT activism is. LGBT activism in Uganda is, I'm homeless because my dad kicked me out of the house, and if the state finds out about me, they might kill me. I need a place to shelter. In some of these countries, it's literally like LGBT activism is, yeah, fuck, I'm not even gay. I just like drank my drink with my pinky out, and then my neighbor denounced me. And now I'm in fucking prison and I need a lawyer.
Filled in 3 years. These are my taxes, and I believe my taxes should go to help people in my country. I don't think that's controversial to say. And I know many conservatives agree with me. I'll always hear them say, we can't be spending money in Ukraine. We have to take care of our own. And then they just don't take care of their own. because that's socialism or communism or something. Listen, do you actually want to take care of your own? Do you actually want your taxes to go towards helping the poor and sick and families in this country?
She's actually tied herself into a knot there because she's spreading this big thing that the United States caused a lot of damage to the world throughout the 20th century, even with USAID. Well, it's like, okay, well, yeah, they did. So if you feel bad about that and you think that that's really important, then something like USAID would actually be a good way to rectify at least some of it.
Actually America first, or are you corpos and foreign countries first? I'm more than happy to work with you on good things to fix this country, but I don't think the establishment GOP is.
You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work.
First of all, Medicaid is for anyone who needs it, period. And second of all, 29-year-old guys? You mean your fucking voter base? You mean the very demographic that is shifting the entire country in your direction? Those guys? Yeah, we're just wasting so much money helping young men. Those greedy gamers just gobbling up all the tax money. Not massive tax cuts to corporations and the rich. Not all the money to the bloated military-industrial complex. No.
The military-industrial complex.
Young men who can't find a job, can't afford a house, can't afford college. Young men who can't build a family. Because of the society you created. Those guys?
This is all over like 1.2% of GDP that she's talking about here. No, it's not GDP, it's the federal budget. Yeah, this is all over a project that is like, that's total foreign aid, by the way, not just USAID. USAID is only one branch of that, because the aid doesn't actually stand for aid, it stands for Agency for International Development, which means that USAID has nothing to do with aid, apparently.
They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and pay for their own Medicare. This care isn't for them, it's for women. What? Great to know both sides of the establishment hate young men. Anyway, sorry, I popped off. Let's get back on topic. Now, USAID did do some good things. I won't deny that. But even some of the good things USAID did were nothing but a bunch of fronts. Using Cuba as an example again, because these are some of the only ones that have been exposed so far, there was a USAID program called the Travelers Project that was said to be an HIV prevention workshop. But yet again, it was nothing but another covert regime change psyop. This was exposed in 2014 by the Associated Press. Young Venezuelans and Peruvians were deployed by USAID to Cuba's college campuses for $5.41 an hour. Really, USAID? Billions of dollars force feminizing mice, and you can't even pay your spies a living wage? Sad. Dollars force feminizing mice.
The transgenic. Got the word trans in it. She did the thing. Stop me, bro.
And you can't even pay your spies a living wage? Sad. Anyway, they were used to recruit college students into political organizations with the goal of turning them against their government. The goal of, once again, creating political division. In the exposed memos about this, USAID called their HIV workshop the, quote, perfect excuse. Right. But we're totally funding.
This is a breakdown. If someone has a better source on it that's more broken down, they can show me if they want, but link it in Discord. 16 billion governance, okay? 10.5 billion on humanitarian assistance, 7 billion on health, 3.5 on administrative expenses. Oh, that's not aid at all, even though you kind of need this for these. Okay. Agriculture, education, infrastructure, economic growth. Sounds like most of the spending is actually in areas that are quite, especially in countries that need it quite desperately. Ukraine, Ethiopia, Jordan. Jordan, by the way, as a country, is just completely dependent on humanitarian aid. Like Jordan's economy is very much like aid is important to Jordan. Okay, God forbid if ShoeOnHead finds out that it used to be called Transjordan and thinks all this aid is going to transing the Jordanians. That's why Sundowner is so effeminate. Congo, one of the worst humanitarian crises of the century. Somalia, Yemen, easily one of the worst humanitarian crises of the century, maybe the worst. Afghanistan, Nigeria, South Sudan, Syria. South Sudan, again, famine, Syria, horrible. And these countries having like a level of aid and stability is actually very important to us, you know? Because instability in Syria, for example, was a large part of where ISIS came from. And ISIS affected Europe. It affected America. You know, it's not hard to draw these connections.
DEI in Vietnam for pure humanitarian reasons, I'm sure. This was done so sloppily that even our boy John Bolton came out and disavowed it, but not without saying he thought it was a good idea in principle. Yes, it's a great idea to create taxpayer-funded secret psyops all over the world in order to f*** with other countries' politics. Just don't recruit teenagers to do it next time, okay?
How dare you fuck with Uganda's anti-gay laws that gets gay people killed? How dare you?
What?
I
honestly just think it's kind of funny we were funding anti-socialist agendas all around the world and disguising it as social progressivism. Don't think too hard about that one. Now, Cuba wasn't the only place USAID was culturally helping. On January 12, 2010, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti, killing 220,000 people, injuring another 300,000, and leaving 1.5 million more homeless. In the wake of the catastrophe, the United States provided $1.6 billion in reconstruction funding to Haiti, $651 million of which went to USAID. Rather than employing Haitian construction companies, USAID contracted out the rebuilding projects to international firms. For instance, Minnesota-based construction firm Thor was awarded $18 million in contracts, and Mexico-based firm Cemex...
I really wish she could... Does she have her sources down here, or do we just have to guess? Here it is. What would this one be for? I'll just take her word for it in any sense, because... Again, this is you're complaining that USAID money should have been spent better, not that the entire thing should have been fucking ditched, which is what they did. Remember, they fucked the entire thing off pretty much, apart from a few things that were just like, I guess, the ones that Trump liked.
Received over $7 million. But by far the largest recipient of USAID funding in Haiti was Washington, D.C. based contractor Commonix International, who received over $200 million to carry out a total of 141...
Wait, what did the contractor do, though? What did they do? On something that's not like the fucking AI overview. So they're one of the largest aid contractors in the world. Where is the USAID money going? Haiti earthquake. More than 11 years old. Okay. Agriculture, infrastructure, and other projects. Is this the whole thing again where it's like it went to a contractor, therefore it couldn't have gone to aid, even though contractors are contracted to do aid work? It might have been that they were involved in some kind of like corruption, or they might have taken money that they shouldn't have, or paid themselves too much, or anything else. Because again, but that's always imperfections, though. Yeah, in a country that is like Haiti, or any country that's third world, or is massively struggling and has a weak government and can't take hold itself up without aid, then yeah, that is naturally also a country where delivering aid is difficult. But okay, like this, critics have argued that this hampers efforts to build self-sufficiency. Mixed results. This is all just, it's an imperfection though. But again, the situation, like, this almost makes inevitable, like, an imperfect result, because the idea of being able to provide aid effectively in any of these areas is naturally going to be full of fucking, like, challenges.
Projects. In fact, USAID awarded more money to Commonix than to the entire Haitian government in the wake of the earthquake. An audit conducted on Commonix revealed that the company had a tendency to not finish jobs, evaluated its own project on arbitrary criteria, not having to do anything with the project, and failed to set timelines, causing some projects to fall behind schedule. In one case,
wow. Don't governments do that as well? I thought we were against, like, okay, whatever.
Commonix was contracted to build Haiti's new parliament building, but what they constructed came out half-finished and unusable. The company only built the framework of the building, not even erecting interior walls to divide office spaces.
So they should have better contractors, okay?
Or did they bother to furnish the building? Left with this, the Haitian government was forced to draw $775,000 from its public treasury to complete the project. Despite these disastrous results, Commonix to this day remains USAID's top contractor. The construction company was awarded $506.4 million in contracts in 2021 alone. In a leaked email exposed by WikiLeaks, they described this tragedy as a gold rush, ensuring that it would be great for international companies. Seems like the only thing they are culturally helping is their own wallets, am I right? And you know how you always hear about how poor people are in Venezuela and how the politicians are so rich and live
No, it feels like the people who require aid still like receive some level of benefit. It also just means that there were corruption issues that need to be solved. It doesn't invalidate the entire project. Yeah, from the sounds of that story, it seems like it would have been a better idea to, I don't know how, reliable the Haitian government was at that point. But if it was more reliable than that company, then yeah, it would have made more sense to give the money to that government. Yeah. But again, even governments hire contractors to do building stuff. So
in luxury. Yeah, part of that has to do with USAID. Billions of dollars of aid we sent to Venezuela just lined the pockets of US-backed politicians there. Only 2% of the aid we sent to Venezuela actually...
Do you want to get a Chinese, like a person? What?
We went to help Venezuelans. So at this point, the whole world was basically sick of USAID's bullshit. In 2013, Bolivian President Evo Morales expelled USAID officials from his country on the grounds that the agency had conspired against his government by allegedly manipulating social movements in the country. He also charged that a previous USAID program that sought to help cocoa farms switch to new crops was politically motivated. Russia expelled the agency in 2012 for similar reasons. Its foreign ministry argued in a statement that USAID attempts to influence political processes through its grants. And in February, Kenyan Cabinet Secretary Francis Kimimya claimed that his government had evidence that USAID had hired activists to organize anti-government protests in Nairobi in an effort to topple the government. Oh, and if you're wondering why so many news outlets and journalists were freaking out over the potential shutting down of USAID, yeah, it's probably because it's where their paychecks were coming from.
Let's go!
Yeah, apparently USAID was funding about 6,200 journalists and 707 news outlets all across the world. Not even just America. For example, the editor-in-chief of a Ukrainian news outlet wrote that destroying USAID was a greater threat to Ukrainian...
Yeah, this is known about, though. This is published as well, because obviously the problem is that in a country like Ukraine that has been under the thumb of another country for decades, is mired in corruption, largely, actually, a lot of the corruption in the Ukraine. The worst places for corruption were places like Crimea, places where there were loads of Russians, especially under Yanukovych, who was a staunchly pro-Putin, corrupt piece of shit who lived in a presidential palace. That also meant that these people were quite authoritarian. It meant that it was difficult for a free press to get established on its own feet. So USAID helped to contribute to that. That's why like Radio Free Europe is a thing. That's not inherently bad though. Again, like when countries are transitioning from like fucking Soviet communism, especially and after centuries of oppression, not just the Soviet Union, also the Russian Empire as well, then yeah, they are probably going to need a bit of a fucking boost. It takes a free society requires a lot of things, and a free press is one of them.
In journalism, then the Russian invasion. What? There were independent outlets shutting down everywhere, including Russia after the USAID freeze. So we were apparently funding media in both Ukraine and Russia.
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
Serbia, Maldovia, all across Latin America, independent...
Maldovia. Why is she talking about foreign policy? What the fuck, man? She doesn't know anything. Maldovia. Please, Mr. President, my country, Maldovia, yearns for freedom. Maldovia.
Outlets shutting down everywhere. All because the little sister of the CIA can't pay no mo. So I have a question. Why the
Again, all of this is generally allowed as well, isn't it? As long as you've got like a level of transparency, which USA does. That's how we know about these things. But we've known about Radio Free Europe for ages. Like when Al Jazeera funds journalists in the Western world, is it inherently bad? Like not really. You could argue it's bad because of the kind of propaganda they're pushing. Like, given that I think ShoeOnHead is not pro-Putin, like I'd imagine that the US funded journalists in Ukraine are probably going to usually say things that you would side with, but I don't know.
Were we funding media in all these other countries?
Maldovia.
Well, the CEO for the Center of Investigative Reporting, a USAID-supported Bosnian media organization, said it best. Quote, if you are funded by the U.S.
How is funding journalists in both Russia and Ukraine both playing both sides? Oh, it's because the Ukrainians are only going to because the Ukrainians are going to Ukraine and the Russians are going to Russia. That's it. You know, you can't be a Ukrainian if you're not going to Ukraine. You can't be a Russian if you're not going to Russia. That's why. That's actually, if you look at because all the US funded journalists in Ukraine, they're all being like, yeah, go Ukraine, fuck Russia. And all the Russia funded journalists in, all the American funded journalists in Russia are going, yeah, go Russia, fuck Ukraine. And it's all just a meme for the military industrial complex, which actually sells weapons to both sides. That's what they do, yeah.
U.S. government, there are certain topics that you would simply not go after because the U.S. government has its interests.
Sorry, I mean Russiovia. And don't even get me started on those dastardly Moldovians.
Are above all else. Oh, I guess that answers my question. USAID is also ridden with other scandals, such as covering up a child sex abuse ring in Kenya, kidnapping and torturing people in Uruguay, forced sterilizing.
Again, like Oxfam had the same thing, didn't they? I don't know if it was like a child trafficking, but it was some kind of corrupt fucking exploitation shit. So yeah, again, it's like, yeah, distributing aid in third world countries that are destabilized and are full of chaos and war and persecution yields difficulties. You're never going to get, if it was easy, like you would just, if it was easy, you would just have, these countries would just be able to feed their own people, but it's not. Okay, well done.
300,000 Peruvian women. And the famous one you all know, funding drug production in Afghanistan. Oopsie poopsies, we did little fucky wuckies. Now think about all the other shit that hasn't been exposed.
Yes.
These aren't mistakes, these aren't flukes, these aren't little fucky wuckies. This is what this program was set out to do.
Does she think the sex trafficking scandals at USAID, that was like part of the, that's what USAID is designed to do? That the United States, what interest does the United States have in running a sex trafficking ring in Kenya? Like, what the fuck? You guys have no idea how America's the biggest, strongest economy in the world, okay? But you have no idea. You think the dollar's bad now? Wait till you see what happens to the dollar when all of the African USAID-funded sex trafficking rings fall apart. That's the real military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex has nothing on the Kenyan USAID sex trafficking complex.
This is why it was created. We were quite literally funding Globo Homo as a sneaky way to do regime change and American intervention. Or do you think we're spending $1 million in Nepal to promote atheism because Hinduism is such a threat? You're cute.
I'm so curious. I want to find out now. USAID funding atheism, Nepal. I actually think Hinduism can't be a threat to non-Hindus, for one. Bro, what the fuck? Clearly never watched any Bollywood, bro. Clearly never watched any Bollywood films that have untouchables in them. She checked all of these, by the way, to make sure she wasn't being trolled, so let's be sure, okay? Okay, New York Times, Globo Homo Establishment Media, let's go! Modi approves this video. Bro, Maldovia? Why would you think Hinduism is a threat to non-Hindus in some countries, like Nepal? Okay. Let's see, look, 100 million on initiatives like expanding atheism in Nepal. That's what American taxpayers should be paying for? No way. Transgender operas in Colombia, drag shows in Ecuador. Okay. Mr. Johnson's comments may give the impression that these were US aid initiatives, but the 3 examples he cited were awards from the State Department. In 2021, the State Department solicited proposals for an award for $500,000 for projects that support religious freedom in 2 or 3 countries in South or Central Asia, the Middle East, North Africa. The goal was to ensure everyone enjoys religious freedom, including the freedom to dissent from religious belief and to not practice or adhere to a religion, and combat discrimination, harassment, and abuses against atheist, humanist, non-practicing, and non-affiliated individuals of all religious communities. Interesting. So it's not USAID. And also, ShoeOnHead's a fucking moron for thinking that there wouldn't be a reason to help non-fucking Hindus in Nepal. Okay. The lawmakers showed the receipt of the award was a group called Humanists International, said it would use the funding for 2 sub-grants to member organizations in Sri Lanka and Nepal. Republicans argued that the group and its member organization in Nepal, Sokh Nepal, promoted atheism, while the State Department maintained that the groups protected both the right to believe and not believe, saved many lives. Where's this? Why want to open? Hey, open the fucking hot link, dick. Bro, very small text, but okay. Program outcomes is fostering mutual respect for Dalit and other lower caste groups, providing access to legal tools. Yeah, it would be legal protection against discrimination and probably shelters for people who don't have homes. Again, it's is she one of those like millennials spiritualists who's just like, oh, Hinduism's that's the nice one. Why would you have a problem with Hinduism?
The United States won't sleep until there's an ugly progress flag hanging on Starbucks on every corner of every street all over the world from Latin America to the Middle East. Ah yes, the greatest American exports, butt, sex, and war. There are a shit ton of old left-wing articles you can find online spanning back to like 2010, even earlier, about how evil USAID is. Now suddenly liberals are acting like it's another fucking beacon of democracy that we have to cry and piss and shit about just because it's Trump getting rid of it. Frankly, I don't care. If they start dismantling things that I do care about, things that do actually help the American people, then I will care. Expose where the trillions of dollars we spent on the Iraq war went next, please. Or, actually release the Epstein files.
Let's go. They would just be the most boring shit.
I think Doge cut USAID because they're our great comrade in arms, cutting off the tentacles of American imperialism. No. Trump probably just cut it because he thought it was a woke, gay waste of money, and it was. But as far as I'm concerned, every article written about how bad dismantling it was written by John Bolton himself. Like the president of Colombia said, take your money with you. It's poison. All the sources I use in this video and all the information.
Yeah, I bet that's what the Ugandan money, the Ugandan government that fucking kills gay people said as well. They were like, yeah, get your imperialism out of here. Stop helping these folks. Why the fucking Nepalese institutions that discriminate against non-Hindus, they were like, yeah, take your money away. It's poison. Fuck you.
And I got for this video will be in links down below. Feel free to do your own research as always. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing. A lot of you aren't subscribed apparently. You just watch and fuck off. I will find you. Also, this video is most likely going to be demonetized, so if you can and if you want to, please donate to me on Patreon, linked.
Why would a video like this get demonetized? Why would this video get demonetized? What did she say? They got maybe because she mentioned sex trafficking? You can still mention trafficking and get monetized, but
down below. It helps the channel so much.
What the fuck is that?
And I will see you next time with a less serious, more fun video.
Yeah, it might have been. No, I will. It's a bad video shoot. What the fuck? It's a mental video. It's not even dumb in a funny way. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, but if you're out here calling it Maldovia and scratching your head about why non-Hindus would need protections in Nepal, take a fucking step back. Also, fuck me. I was just, one of the other countries there that was getting help, like the promoting atheism thing was Sri Lanka. I wonder if she would be like, I wonder if she would be saying, well, what you think people have sort of, what do people have to fear from Buddhism? That's the really nice one. Fuck me.